Hi friends, let's take a look at Ethereum, and of course we've had some fairly sort of magnificent price action over the last wee while. Let's take out the measuring stick, see where things have been, see how things are going, and of course I always recommend watching the Bitcoin videos and stuff like that. Watch all the videos on the channel. I mean, we take a look across the markets, so we look at Bitcoin and we look at other stuff. In fact, I didn't really look at the traditional markets today in the Bitcoin one. Maybe I'll stick that in here just for the crack. Anyway, where have we come from? Where have we gone to? Blah blah blah. I'm Rocky Outcrop. We're all pals here, by the way. Welcome to the channel if this is your first video. Thanks very much for joining us. Welcome and all that. Subscribe, all that chat. So we've had a sort of 20% move in the day. Woo, 18.68% move. So what have we actually covered, and where have we come from, where have we gone, and that during this whole time frame? Well, we've been looking at a couple of key areas in terms of the price action. We knew this 155, 156 area was a key area, and we knew that this 150 was a key area, and we saw the prices actually drop down to 147, come down below here, and at that point, I'm not a financial advisor, unless financial advice. When I have seen this happening in the price action, it came back up here above this to 151, started coming up a wee bit, then it kind of became a decent enough opportunity to take along up here to the 200 simple. We actually came all the way up here to the 200 simple at 172, in fact to the 144 or wherever, up to our previous area where we were actually putting in a lower high, because I mean, of course, combine that with the whole not being greedy, let's just look and say, well, this is our previous high. If we were to go up and put in a lower high, and where could targets be, and we had a few of them crossed along the way. Of course, 162 where the 50 simple was, and the 55 moving average was a good area too, 165. We had that area that in mind as well at 166 that we thought about, and of course as soon as we went above the 166, then the chances of us getting up to 173 or so were increased. But where do we find ourselves now, and could this be sustained, or could we be finding ourselves dropping back down again overall? Now that's a good question. That's kind of the question for the day. Obviously this trading recently has been fair enough for us, Rocky Outcrop in the world. Like, subscribe, all that jazz, and we'd be doing all right on the old Ethereum chart. So we don't need to ever be too greedy, right? And essentially, kind of just would take my foot off the gas for just now. Like the target towards the top side, if we get above 177, we're able to open and close above there. We're doing a couple of things at once, a few things. We're going above the 200 simple, which is good because we've got this death cross here, and we want to see those uncross. We're going above the 144 moving average, so whatever. You choose your own numbers. I use Fibonacci numbers on these at the minute. It doesn't, it's there. And the 233 exponential moving average is in there as well. But of course, the 200 exponential moving average, or whatever you look at, is probably right in at that 177 level right now. Anyhow, so we have a wee look and see where it comes in at, just for the curious among us. Yeah, 177 level, exactly where we thought it would be. Right. So you'll be doing a few things at once there. So you're going above the 200 exponential moving average, for instance. If you go above that area there, and then you'd be going. And did I say yes yet? You'd be having you'd be higher than this over here. So you'd be having a new high. So that'd all be very good, and things would look quite different over here as well on things like the weekly chart. The weekly chart looks really phenomenal for it. It still looks great or whatever in a sense. The 2-day chart, you can see actually in the 2-day chart we have got a higher high than compared to here currently if we were able to close. But of course that is a ways away yet. I actually don't know off the top of my head when the 2-day ends, funnily enough. Wait, let's just look. 16th of April, so the next one will be the 18th of April. So there you go. Today is the 16th. So we've got another day left on top of that. So we need to see this sustain itself above these areas. And if it doesn't, and it sinks back down below, going back over to 2-day, sorry, then we'd be having a lower high should the prices go in at below 170. So 170 is kind of a crucial area for us as well in terms of this time frame. Going back over to that weekly, just to point out, by the way, there's diminishing volume the whole way through here. We've not really got this increase in volume that you want to see necessarily, and we're right below the 21 EMA in the weekly time frame, and that's obviously going to be quite significant on the weekly time frame, and that's coming in at 171. Okay, 170, 150 here on my chart on this particular exchange, but we're going to call it 170 so because it's trading in multiple places, and of course you got to be bearing these things in mind. So we know this overall could be an area for us to see it turning around at. And then let's go down to some lower time frames and see if we can see anything jumping out at us. Of course, this isn't higher than over here, but we'll have to look at overall at this as being a sort of overall upward trend. So looking at the highs in this area, are we divergent? Well, should the prices go up and make a new high without the RSI going up another couple of ticks here, then you would be slightly bearishly divergent, but it's a close call on this at the minute, and I'm not going to say which way that's turning out for the day. There's plenty of hours left in it at the minute, but the price action will lead the way for us for that. The stochastics, though, indeed it will have some there probably if the prices go up, and that's not, unless the prices go up fairly significantly, I suppose, with a bit of momentum, then the stochastics will probably end up showing a bit of bearish divergence. But we speak about this in the channel from time to time. It is stupid to predict divergence at the very tail end of things. It's not how you're supposed to do things. It's just pre-planning. So yeah, anyway, so that's that kind of exploited enough for there. The same applies to the MACD, by the way, but bearish divergence on there most likely, unless if the prices go up here any higher, then you'd have bearish divergence to be lower, right? Sorry, did I explain that right before? I don't know. I'm now questioning myself. If the prices go up. Yeah, this is lower here, which is convergent, so it's not trending to the upside. But if the prices go up higher, and then the RSI doesn't go up higher, then you'd have bearish divergence indeed. And the MACD would show bearish divergence, stochastics would show bearish divergence if the prices go above 175, say, and you don't get the momentum along with it. So that when that 177 area, if we get up to there, touch it, don't break it, the momentum doesn't follow through, then you'll have a bit of bearish divergence. You'll have this higher high. Otherwise, you're just going to get a lower high, right? A lower high there, and then you've got this convergence here, so it's not negative at all. But you don't have enough downward side action to say you've got a trend as yet, because you've only got one local area on that, right? Okay, so second guess myself there. I don't know if I just explained myself twice in a row, or if I got it wrong first time or not. I'm not sure. Anyway, I think best to be clear, hey? On the 4-hour time frame, then, looking for the same sort of dealios, this is more of a downward trend here. Let's just bring it up big so we can see it impactful. There's a high, there's a low, there's a lower high, as it happens, funnily enough. There's a lower low, there's a lower high, a lower low, lower high. Do we have a lower low here? It's interesting. No, it's equal low, but still you can look for divergence there anyway, I suppose. And then over here, well, we're putting in a higher high at the minute. So let's just see if there's some divergence in the way up, playing it like here for us. I would expect so. Looking at the lows here, you can see low, then that's higher, then that's higher. So across these three, we've had the bullish divergence across all of these actually at the minute. And overall, then the ADX staying below 20, but see this ticking up a wee bit up towards the upside. We could start to see an upward trend come in here, and that would be quite nice. And of course, then for that to really start happening, we're looking towards the prices moving on the 4-hour time frames up above the 173, 175 area, and all that sort of stuff. And I'd like to see it do it in a healthy way, rather than on the 4-hour time frame get an upsurge off the back of bullish divergence, which results purely in a bearish divergence appearing on the 24-hour time frame, where you've got the death cross appeared there as well. Of course, over in the 4-hour time frame we have this golden cross, but it's not the most convincing thing in the world, especially what would it be in a 4-hour time frame, and all the rest of it. The price action is operating in here right at the moving average as well. They've crossed as well, which makes the whole overall process that little bit more sort of real, because you're getting these tests along the way. So that's what we're kind of looking at, really. I think that kind of sums things up. I don't know how long I went on for. I think the video is good enough. If I'd said it right the first time, it could be half the length. Who knows? Thank you so much for liking and subscribing and being part of the family here. Really appreciate it. It's absolutely fantastic. And if you share this video with somebody you think that might like it out there in the world, and introduce me to more people, a friend of yours is a friend of mine, so I absolutely really appreciate that. Oh, I said I was going to look at bonus things. So if you stuck past me saying cheerio there, then good on you. You're part of that thing. Let's take a look at oil, see how it's doing today, if it's any better. Well, we had this here. Could we get a sort of potential double bottom on this on the go? Things are looking really quite dire overall here, and if this wasn't such a crucial price point here at the $20, then where there's a potential for a double bottom to come in, then I'd be quite I'd be thinking quite negative things about this. As it stands here, we've got this coming down. Is it ever so slightly lower? Let's stretch it out. Let's have a look and see if we got lower than it or not. Is that lower? It's an equal low. Right, okay, so anyway, we can still look at the divergence there and see if we have some. So between this low here and this equal low, it's higher on that and RSI and the stochastic. So if things turn around here, then we'd have a bit of bullish divergence right at the tail end of this, coming in at a double low. So the first thing I want to see is the oil price go above $25. The way that this kind of feeds back as well, of course, is you got like your energy sector prices are going to affect ultimately things like the cost of of mining Bitcoin and things like that. Now, I'm not going to get too carried away with it with that sort of that particular thread. Don't think there's much value there. I think it's bigger, easier to say in the macro picture, you know, that this is actually just the world economy and a good way of looking at that. So anyway, that's what I'll be looking to see here in the oil prices. Should things go on down though further, then we'll reassess this. Obviously, this is just happening right now. There is a touch of bullish divergence historically, by the way. Suppose I might as well point that out here, that as we're looking at these lows here and these lows here, that we've had this bullish divergence. Now we're getting it again here with a bit more visible. And that could be interesting to see sort of play out. If it plays out, that is, and of course if it doesn't, then zooming back out a bit and sort of reassessing things here on the MACD, you'd have hidden bearish divergence. If it doesn't play out, you'd have that between these highs here. You've got this hidden bearish divergence. You can see this high is not as high as this. This is really actually part of the low though after this gap. And looking back a little bit further, yeah, you can see this. In terms of the downward trend in oil prices, this is the higher, if this is higher, this is higher, whatever. Between all of them, there'd be that hidden bearish divergence, and you could see that across different oscillators as well. Well, yeah, not so much, but yeah, it was only really at this end tail area really that I'm looking at to see if things turn around here. So that'll be enough of the sort of different prices. Like that's enough of this different thing in the world. This is a bonus section, you know, just for the crack. If this here bullish divergence plays out, good. If not, bad. I think that sums it up. Yeah, because if it's not actually, if by play out, I mean it has to actually even first become real. So you'd need this to become a local bottom so you can actually make that comparison. And we're right there, you know, if prices drop down into below $20 again, it is dangerous. And that is dangerous for everything, the entire world, essentially, the world economies. I mean, let's take this final brief then. Look, crappy day, Doji, yes, pretty crap, overall crap. Oh, look at that. We've had this upward movement during crap. Oh, I forgot on the Bitcoin thing to talk about CMEs. Oh, if you watched the Bitcoin video and you were interested, by the way, we got a partial fill on that CME gap, but it's not fully filled. If we go down to the 4-hour time frame, what a mess I am. If we go down to the 4-hour time frame and see, you can see this is where the top of that gap was, and this is the bottom of that gap. You can see we got half filled it. We didn't fill the whole thing. I don't really look at 4-hour time frame gaps, so to be honest with you, I don't find them that significant. But it is an interesting point to be thrown out there. Let's see how things respond in around that. Maybe there could be a final sort of thrust upwards there on that prices and then down the way. So we'll have to, anyway, that's enough of all this. That's enough of all this. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to go and do Link and Ethereum now, or Link and Tezos. Sorry for this one being a bit round about the place. Hope you enjoyed the scenic route there. Catch you next time.